Hello, hello, and good morning. This is JilliBling, and I have a very vintage project to share with you. Vintage, it's like kind of my middle name, and before I did a lot of vintage, and I've tried to get away from it just a little bit, just for a change, but you know what? Going back to doing a little vintage, it is right up my alley. This is the card I saw on Pinterest, and it was made by Nigezza Creates, and it is just beautiful. I love this. And this is a new stamp set. It is called Wildflower Path. And then to get the background and the vintagey thing going on, I added a few different stamp sets to the lineup, and I'll show you those here in just a minute. Isn't that pretty? Vintage, I love vintage. I like how she did the bow like that. And then there's this one. So looking at these two, the difference is the flowers and the stem. And those are both included in the stamp set. And I use some products that are, like, these are all, everything current. But I had some of this little tassel trim and velvet. So I added in a few extra little pieces, different things. So those are that. Used ornate layers and stitched so sweetly for the dies. So here is the Wildflower Path. This is where it all started. It's all about the stamp set. But added this one for the little details. This one was added just for this little thing, but as you can see, the feathers caught my attention, and I love, that might be my favorite one right now. I love how this one turned out. This one is more for the dots and the words, but it has great greetings on it too. And then this is just very vintage. This could be added to any of it, but the words are nice on this. Okay, let's get going. So over here, on the samples, I used two different embossing folders, Parisian Flourish, and also Tasteful Textile. That's Tasteful Textile. Tasteful Textile. Flourish, Textile. And some of them, I used the blending brush to make it look a little bit more antique. This one is interesting how it has like a white base. This is white paper, but I sponged it with crumb cake so it kind of matched the ribbon. That one has no sponging on it. So today let's do lots of vintaging and sponging. So see the edge, how I kind of roughed it up a little bit with the side of the scissors and a lot of sponging. Okay, here we go. Papers. This is going to get die cut using this die. Okay, and oh, I didn't do one thing in advance. That's okay. This ornate layers. So you see it's happening already. Isn't that pretty? And then for texture, how about if we do the flourish right here. Then fold this in half. It's like, my gosh, the card is almost already done. I think it just depends on how much more you want to do to it. It can be simple, which is pretty. Okay, so this die right here, for the words, I have this rectangle die and then also this die. And I want to stamp on this paper and cut it right out from here. Doesn't everyone love saving paper? Okay, so let me start with that. So for the words, I'm going to use the For You. Now stamp that in basic gray. So this card, the two different versions, well, This one is basic gray, smoky slate, and white. That I wish it was a little darker. Maybe I need to re-ink my pad. Okay, so looking at the cards, back again. So I have vanilla, suede, crumb, or white, basic gray, smoky slate. And they all vintage up just fine. So this was a little thing I said I didn't do in advance. Planned on it, but I didn't. Maybe so I could say, you could take paper out of here. As long as you're not taking a hole out of paper that you're writing on, you might as well do that. Hold on. You know how I like to have stuff done in advance. But that's okay. That didn't take too long. Okay, so here we are. It's going to go on here, here. We still have to vintage everything. Here. Should go this way. How about that way? Isn't that pretty? And that could go across there. And then some ribbons. This could go underneath. I want to do blue flowers. Kind of want to make it like this one. Okay, you know what? Before I do this, because see how this is wrapped around 3 times with a bow on it? I might try something like that. Because if I do just this one, you hardly see it. Okay, we'll get there in just a minute on that. Okay, so let's do some stamping. So I'm going to put the basic gray paper underneath this white piece, just so you could see it clear, the outline of the paper. White on white is hard to see. Okay, so how about green, garden green for the stem. Here's the stem. And this one, the placement is good. You don't see the bottom of the stem, but that's okay. It's funny, I keep seeing that it doesn't look like I got good coverage there. Okay, I'm just going to go with it. Okay, and now, because I'm using that blue ribbon, Misty Moonlight, I want to use Misty Moonlight. My little pad is being busy, so we have just this little itty bitty bit. And you know what, let me test something. If ever you're in doubt about, okay, there's that, about how things line up, like even words, it's good to do it on your grid paper, ink it up again, and do it on your real paper. But I was thinking this could go here, but I wonder if the stem can go right up through the middle of it. Well, then they'd all be smushed in. Okay, I'm going to go the way I originally planned. And if you have this set and you try that, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Because the other flowers in the set, the flower sets right up on top of there. Okay. And then these. So there's going to be a lot of blue flowers, but the blue is really pretty. Okay, blue flowers. The boys are home. Okay, let's see how this is, how it's looking. Oh, we still have to do all the vintagey stuff. Oh, isn't that pretty together? Okay. I'll keep this handy for doing something on the inside. Maybe the same thing. So let's make it vintage. So looking at this one, see this right here? That is this stamp. Little dots. Oh, I need to clean these. That's that stamp. And should I put some words on it? I have the little, see the text right here along the edge? That's this stamp. This big one, I'll do that on the inside. What else? I like this little swirly one. Okay. I have a whole bunch of things that I want to put in here, but so let's start with this. And I'll do this one in Smoky Slate, but I'm going to stamp it off because I want it to be a little bit soft. Otherwise, it's just too strong on there, and it'll distract from the flower. So there, here, just random places. On this stamp, it's good, if possible, to get it straight, because if you did it crooked, your whole card would look crooked. Okay, that looks good. Keep that handy for the inside. Isn't that nice? And that one is from Tasteful Touches, the one with this. Oh, and this flower is so pretty. Okay, the words, the whole set. The words are great too. Okay, so we did that. Let's do some dots. Let me check how strong they are first. Okay, stamp off just a few random places. It's like when you do vintage and collage, it's almost like you can't do wrong. I like that one. Okay, maybe a few stamped off. Just a few. Because it's really light, I think it's working out okay. Okay, so here we go. There's a swirl, that thing, dots. Okay, I was going to put words on here, but let's save that for the card base. So for the card base, Smoky Slate, or you know what, I could do this in the basic gray, so it's just a little bit darker. Basic gray. Oh, you know what, if ever you have a stamp pad, all of them start out and it's like really stiff. Take a clear candle. This is my dedicated clear candle. You can do any candle, but trust me, if you do red or red chapstick, you've got it on your marker or on your stamp pad. Ooh, that's much better. Okay, that's the tip for the day. Okay, so make sure this is right side up. I'm going to put some words just around the outside edge because there's not much that will show on the card. Not much at all. If you do it crooked, it's not good. But like I said, much won't show. Crooked again. Okay, concentrate. Make it go straight. Okay, that's good. Looks a little rough on here, but once I put all the other parts together, like this, you can hardly see that. You can hardly see that it went crooked, so whew, all is good. Okay, so to do the vintaging, I have 2 blending brushes, one for basic gray, one for slate, and I will do basic gray on basic gray. And then after I get done doing the blending brushes, then I'll do the scissors on the side to kind of rough up the paper. And if you do it the other way around, where you rough up the paper first and then use your blending brush, you get little paper balls and fibers all in your stamp pad, and it can be a problem. And I'll show you what I'm talking about by those little pieces. So if you can remember, do blending brush first. I might need to re-ink this pad because I think it should be going a little bit quicker than this. Yeah, there's not much coming off. I could see it on there. And it doesn't matter if you do this blending brush perfectly smooth, or if you get blobs, because you won't see very much of it. I could see some blobs, but I'm good with that. Anyhow, it's vintage. Ooh, that's a ticket. Go in the corners. That's where all the ink is. See how you could see the little blobs? That's okay. Okay. Boy, when I hold it up, I could see it a lot better. Okay, that one is done. So, see, maybe the inside. Well, I'm on a roll. Okay, that's good. Done with basic gray blending brush. Now, let's do some smoky slate. Ooh, look at that one. That one really has some color now. So smoky slate, I'll do a little on here. I'm going to do it just around the edges, and then also so it'll pick up and kind of highlight some of the pretty details in that embossing folder. So yesterday Bo went in for his checkup and to get his update on vaccinations, and he wasn't feeling too good last night. You could just tell. He kept wanting to go into the other room just to lay off on the other side of the bed. He's all better today. Poor boy. Okay, that looks good. So let me see if this goes here. You can see it's vintagey. I think I'm going to keep this without sponging on it, but I'll do the inside paper. Just the edges. I love these blending brushes. Sponge daubers are still good, but those are very direct with their color application, where the blending brush is really soft. Sponges are good too. That's kind of in between daubers and blending brushes. Okay, that's vintagey. Okay, let's see how it's looking. I think it's time to really vintagey it now. Okay, these pieces are not going to get scissor treatment. So this piece, clean off my paper, because I know that I'm going to empty this off in just a minute. So with your scissors, and have them closed, I see a lot of people taking their blade and running along here, which is fine and it's very effective, but you're just doling your blade. So if you keep your scissors closed, they work just as well. And go along the edges, and you can make it however vintagey you want. So if you just do a couple passes, it roughs it up a little bit, but if you do more, I mean, this is like from the 1800s or something. It's really old. And if you tear the paper, that's okay too. When do we get away with tearing paper and it's okay? I think on 2 of them I tore the paper by doing this. Just kind of stick it back down and pretend like you planned it. It's tore, but that's okay. And it's okay if you wrinkle it too. Oh boy, that's very vintagey right there. Okay, so that mess, that's a good thing. So I'm gonna knock off some of these little vintagey bumps, just the ones that come off easy. Then, same thing here. This paper is easier to work with compared to the basic white cardstock. It's a little thicker. It's easier to hold. Oh, look at that big vintaginess. Mm-hmm. It's good and ugly. Okay, so I'm thinking, should I stamp on this before I vintage it? And I say that only because the last project I did, it's all vintagey. And see right here? Vintagey, then I went to stamp on it, and I didn't get ink in the crease. So, but you know what? That's okay. This is vintagey. It's okay if it's not perfect stamping. That's part of the charm. So you know how I said to do the blending brush and get ink on the edges of the paper before you do this part right here? Because see all this right down here? That ends up in your stamp pad. That's not good. Sure doesn't make for a good stamped image. Okay, it's even wrinkled. Ooh, look how good I did that one. Nice. By the end of this, you'll be a pro. Yeah, roughing up the edges. Okay. There we go. Have stuff everywhere. This I'm going to put in the garbage can. Hold on. Oh my gosh, I even came into here. Yeah, all that stuff you don't want in your stamp pad. Okay, hold on. Just a minute. Clean. Okay, let's see where we are on this. I know I had stamped the inside, but let's do a little quick assembly. Still stuff coming off. There, there, there. You can tell it's looking pretty already, huh? There. Okay, inside. So this, I wanted to try this big one. So how about that big one in Smoky Slate, not too dark. Right at the bottom. Cool. And I'm going to do the same flowers in, is this the same one? Yeah, in green. I'll come back to this Smoky Slate in just a minute. Garden green. So I'm going to do this at the side. Well, how does that happen? That's why those little pieces would make for bad stamping. Okay, garden green. I'm going to do this at the side so that you could still see the words. Because one of them, I put it a little bit closer in so you could see all the flowers, but then there is no room for words. And the words are going to, or the flowers will be in, you know what, let me do the words first. Those I'll put in basic gray, because if they conflict, I can always do a stamp off for the flowers. So this is in the, what's it called? Wildflower Path set. It's a little bit crooked. Oh. So stamp off just a little bit of that. A little bit of the swirly thing. That kind of matches this down here. Oh, and underneath there's this one. Isn't that pretty? Vintagey. Okay. Oh, the these two things. This is getting vintagey. Then this one. Like, how many layers can we put on here? Layers and layers. Okay, now the flowers. Whew. So these flowers are just fine. They don't conflict with the words. Those, maybe just a little bit. You know what? Let me test something. Full strength, second strength. Oh, that's pretty too. But it won't be consistent. Okay, I'm just going to drop them down a little bit further into here. There we go. Okay. So for all of you vintagey people, what do you think? Okay, let's start assembling. Then had to put some pearls on here. Pearls are vintagey. Oh, I need to wrap this around. I'm thinking I want to wrap it just around this. Okay, there's that one. This piece. Oh, embossing folders. Let me show you something really quick. Embossing folders. Notice this convenient line right down here. When you're putting your paper in, and that's sticking. When you're putting your paper in, some patterns are directional and it matters, but see how I have it lined up right down here? And even if you just use it as a reference and put it higher or lower, wherever you like in the embossing folder, but you could use that as a reference for lining up your paper into your embossing folder. And always do it hinge first. Okay, carry on. This one could go here. Okay, so now there's this one, like that, and this, but I think I want the ribbon to go around, just around this piece. So I probably shouldn't, oh, this would be nice on dimensionals, so it'll give it a little shadow under there. And this one, Nigezza, I hope I'm saying Nigezza's name correct. She has it all off to one side, so maybe I'll try putting it to, I like that one side, right over here. Okay, fibers. I stuck that down. So for you, but you know what, I have another. I kind of want to add this in. But you know what, this is mixing vanilla in with white, so I'll skip on that. Maybe some of that. Okay, so this one I'll put around. I'm going to do the 3 times. Okay, 2 times. Having the adhesive on the underside is helping out right now. Then I think I'll just do a bow with this one. Okay, so this is ready to stick onto here. Okay, that's pretty. And I'll put it on with dimensionals. Oop, almost out. Use a big edge piece. Okay, I'm going to just use them all. That's for you, Lori. She always gives me a hard time about, you use too many. Okay, so this is going to go off to the side. And I like the detail kind of showing through with the basic gray. Just like that. Then this can get, because it's so thin, I'm going to do a triple bow. Okay. And this could go on with dimensionals. I could vintagey this. Just a little bit. More ink. It's getting a little wrinkly. That's good. Right in the middle for you. Then I would use regular glue dots, but I have all these from my paper pumpkin. And I know, extras. But I know that my bow will cover it up. The last thing I want is my bow coming off. So do you end up working in 6 inches of space too? Everything just tends, so this is almost there. Just need a few pearls. I'm inclined to put them on each one of those, but that would be a lot of pearls. So I will put them random places, just a few. Just like that. There it is. Isn't that pretty? Isn't it very vintagey? Okay, that's it for today. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time. Bye.